It's a new episode, but a totally different format. We're not doing a sword today. We're doing your question and answers. This is Sword Talk. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's episode 14 of Sword Talk with Tom, wherever you are, however you found us. It's always a miracle to me that people are finding me, but however you found us, welcome and thank you for spending part of your day with us here at Sword Talk with Tom. Well, things have been going really well in just the 7 or so weeks since we decided to go public on this. Again, I'm supposed to remind you, especially for those new people that are tuning in for the first time, that our website is American-Samurai.com. That's American-Samurai.com. Don't forget the dash. And the website explains my primary work, which is something called the 8 Samurai, the most exclusive art club in the world. It's a project that's never been done before. It's kind of my life's work. Only recently, 15 months or so ago, I got into the antique samurai sword business for my clients. Before that, clients would come to me and ask me to help them find some antique swords, and I did that. And at a suggestion with one of my clients, I decided to buy and sell some very, very limited. I buy just a few antique swords that I find completely unique and different, and offer them for sale and do these videos. And then, as I say, 7 weeks ago, we decided to go public with it. And we're in 18 countries around the world. We were in 18 last episode, though. So while the viewership's growing, I love your support. We're not getting around the world. There's a lot more than 18 countries out there, folks. So get busy. We have nobody in South America. I can't believe that nobody out there knows anybody in South America. Send them a Sword Talk video. And let's get this thing started. Today we're doing questions and answers that you've sent in that the show has sparked your interest. The first thing you'll notice is we have a little bit difference here on set. You've suggested I have a partner or a sidekick. Well, with the budget of this show, the only one we could afford was a stuffed superhero toy. Spider Baby will be joining us for each show if he behaves, and we'll have Spider Baby as the new sidekick here on Sword Talk with Tom. You get no billing. The other thing people have asked about is when are we going to settle on a backdrop? This is not my logo. We're working on a new logo for it, by the way. That should be up in a few days on my website for American Samurai. I got some great people that are helping me, some very professional editors. We've got new lighting. We've got new microphones. I still film this out of my house. I don't think we're going to be buying production studios anytime soon. We keep this low key. I think you'll like it that way. We work without a script. I think you've noticed that. I just have a conversation with you about my love and passion, which is samurai swords. For those, again, who are new, basically we do a new sword each week, an antique sword. This whole show is just about antiques. My website does not contain anything about antiques, just about my project. But if you see anything here on the show on antiques that you're interested in buying, do contact me through the website. There's a section called Contact Us, appropriately named, and we'll give you further information about each particular sword. And the number one question they ask, why are swords, even those that are hundreds of years old, in such pristine condition? Well, we've talked about this. The samurai sword is the national icon of Japan. It is extremely revered. And when it's in the possession of a family, and I mostly, those of you who have seen my show know that I mostly buy from families who have had these in their family and taken extreme care of them. The samurai sword themselves are usually not kept on display. That's just the tradition in Japan. They're usually kept in a wooden scabbard called a shittasai. It keeps it away from sunlight and dust and harm, and especially dampness, which is the enemy of steel. So they're kept in a closet. Collectors keep them in a vault in these wooden shittasais. We have a shittasai here. We're going to talk about that later. And then when I get them, I put them together in with the kosher and offer them for sale. But they have been dutifully kept and preserved. This follow-up question is, why aren't there more original kosher? So, for those of you who are new, shame on you. Welcome to the party, though. A samurai sword consists of the blade. Oh, by the way, this is not an antique sword. This is my training sword. I train in a discipline called Zen Kenichi, which means Zen sword, which is a combination of Iaido and training I've received from my Thai master. So the sword is new, not made by a master. It's a training sword, but it is outfitted in samurai antiques, hundreds of year old samurai antiques. And it is based on a Zen teaching theme called the ox herding tale, or the boy and his ox. I guess, it's not the oldest Zen teaching story, but it probably is the most basic. It's the most Zen. We are going to do a show in the future on Zen teaching stories. We will definitely do that one, since that's a favorite of everyone. And as I said, is a basic of Zen teaching. It's about searching for your Buddha nature. In this case, the symbolism is a boy who loses his ox. And he goes on the search for what he thinks is just an ox, but what really symbolically is his Buddha nature. It's an interesting story because it's taught only in pictures. The blade is one part. The kosher is everything else: the handle, the scabbard, the fittings. Over the centuries, if I have a 700-year-old blade, the original, let's start with the ito, the handle, which was silk or leather, is going to get extremely worn out. The sweat, the dirt, the fact that it's been in battle, it's going to be in terrible condition. Why isn't it kept in reverence like the blade is? Well, because it was in use. The blade can be polished and clean and kept exceptionally clean. But what you do with with something like the handle is you restore it. And that leads us to the second thing you should know when we talk about antique samurai swords. The fittings and the kosher, the scabbard and everything, reached their height of artistic excellence in the 1800s, the 1700s, and the late 1600s. That's because before that, the samurai were at war. After that, the samurai were at peace. Samurai became sort of like knights of the round table. They engaged in duels and so on, and defended widows and orphans and all that good stuff. But they didn't engage in battle. And so the fittings on it, everything was refurbished. They had the blade that had been maybe in the family or had been traded or bought over the years from a famous smith, from a famous battle. But now the owner wanted to dress it up a little. You see, Japan's the only civilization that we know of where the men were forbidden to wear jewelry. Think about that. I think that's pretty significant. But they wore their status and their wealth and their pride on their samurai sword. So at that time, after the samurai were at peace, there was a tremendous rise in the artistic development of the fittings. A lot of gold, a lot of silver, something called shakudo, which is a mixture of gold and copper. Just beautiful, beautiful artwork. Artwork such that every major art museum in the world, art museum, not samurai museum, every major art museum in the world has a collection of samurai pieces because they were fine art. So that's why original kosher pretty much doesn't exist today. Because if the blade was important, it deserved to be dressed out. And so we do have koshirei that goes back 300 years, 400 years. But actually, kind of the most beautiful often are the ones that are only 200, 300 years old. So that's the reason why you'll not see original koshirei on any of my blades, because my blades are really going to be historic and great smith, and a beautiful piece of art. All right, here's the next question. You got me all excited about samurai swords. Okay. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to hook you in here. You took me from a 0 to a 10 plus in interest. Now what? How expensive is it to own a sword? Well, we're going to do a show, because it deserves a whole show, on how to collect samurai antiques, what to look for, where to get the best deals, so on and so forth. But the thing you should know, this is, I guess, always the most shocking thing, I think, when I talk samurai swords to people, is to keep this in mind. Antique swords are by far and away, not even close, cheaper than new swords. Well, that's kind of weird. Why is that? Well, keep in mind, it's 1,000 years of samurai sword. It's thousands and thousands of daimyo, feudal lords, each of who had armies of 10,000 or more soldiers, each of whom had katanas, wakasashis, tantas, different kinds of swords. And nobody throws away a samurai sword. They keep them, and we got still a lot of them. They're rated by the nature and the importance of the smith. I like to buy pieces that look good, because my goal is to introduce the samurai sword to a Western world as fine art. So I like to buy pieces that look good, because most collectors, as we've discussed, they keep the sword in a closet or a vault. Kind of like stamp collectors or coin collectors. They do not exhibit their swords. My people do. So keep that in mind, that a new sword is going to be more expensive than an antique. How inexpensive are antiques? Literally, when clients come to me looking for antique samurai swords, I give them the general statement: I can accommodate just about any budget. I can. I don't like to get really cheap swords that are just inferior. So let's say from $4,000 for a tanto, literally on up. Sky's the limit. Yeah, we can do that. But we can get great bargains out there for less than you would think. It's kind of neat to have a 300, 400-year-old. I'm not even going to go into the 700-year-old sword that we exhibited, which is fantastic. If you haven't seen that one, episode 11, Mahara Lion. Well, go see every episode, right? They're all there on the website. Go see it. Oh, by the way, thanks for all the great feedback on the last one, the Lorna Saga. You're right. It is an exceptional piece. All right, the backdrop keeps changing. Okay, I already talked about that. We work without a script here, so. Do you take swords on consignment? The answer is no. I'm not in the antique samurai sword business. I keep saying that, and here I am doing videos selling antique samurai swords, right? I always have a very, very limited inventory. My antique samurai selling comes out of an interest from my clients who have asked me to go search for pieces. It started that way. And then I got so interested, and the word got out there that literally collectors and families have sent me swords for sale. So I see about 200 swords a month. That's a lot of swords. Out of 200 or 300, I may buy one. I look for just something that's, I think, first of all, beautiful. I look for something that's completely unique. I do not buy on need. So at times I have none, and at times like now I have half a dozen pieces, because just lately I was buying swords for an exhibit that I was going to do here at a gallery, which didn't come about this year, but will in the spring. So I have more swords to sell than I literally have ever had. Oh, so there is one other thing I want to point about that. I don't take swords on consignment. Don't do that. But every now and then, someone who is a past customer wants to upgrade. Anybody who buys a sword from me of any kind, I will buy back at least the price they paid for. I will credit back, actually, because what they want to do is upgrade. They want to trade in one sword, but 2 or 3. This thing gets addictive, folks. So I will at least credit what they bought it for, plus 10 to 20, 35% increase, depending on how long they've had it, because my swords do go up in value, so they get a bigger credit. And then they get deeper and deeper and deeper into the samurai trap. You say your clients are not usually typical samurai sword collectors. I'm confused. Okay, that would be cleared up by my website. It's the 8 Samurai collection, and also the 7 Sisters, which is a Wakizashi limited edition series that we're doing for one of Japan's great masters. Literally as a favor to him, but it's also people who wanted beautiful piece of work in a Wakizashi. So that question can be answered on my website. My clients traditionally are that, but this show is all about antiques. The sword shows are terrific. What about more shows on fittings? You mean even one show on fittings? Yeah, we're going to do that in the future too. We will do shows specifically on fittings. I do 3 lectures on the circuit. I do the first lecture I do is called The Way the Samurai Do Demonstration. The second is The Art of the Samurai, where we talk about antique fittings. I have photos and videos from collections around the world. New York Metropolitan Museum of Art has a tremendous collection. I have some of their pieces. Boston Museum of Fine Art, I've mentioned before, the largest samurai collection outside of Japan. They have 30,000 pieces in their basement. So we will do, and I do a lecture on that where I have these pieces, photos of them, and I blow them up 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 times. So you see the minute detail in each of the artistic fittings, and it's blows you away. The thing about samurai swords is this wow factor. I rate my swords on whether they're a 5 wow or a 7 wow or a 10 wow. It's kind of like giving them stars. It always starts when somebody walks into your home and sees your katana, wakizashi, which is short, or a tanto. Whether it's in a display case on your wall, whether it's over your mantelpiece, over your doorway in a beautiful wood and glass cabinet, in your bookcase, or if it's a smaller sword, maybe on your desk. The first reaction is always, wow. And then as you explain the pieces and the history, and you show them the sword, you get several more wows. And if it's a superior piece, and I like to think of all the pieces that I am offering for you as superior pieces, because that's my criteria, it always ends the same. The last reaction is always facial expression. It's always, wow. Yeah, as if it's like, what else can I say? It's like, wow, I'm blown away. This is incredible. That's the natural reaction I get from samurai swords, and that my clients get. Everyone seems to love the samurai sword when you see it. Keep watching this show. We're gonna convert you. Okay, that one. Did you submit that one? We're not answering that one. What is a shirasaya? I just happen to have one here. Okay, this is a shirasaya. Now, when I get a sword in, this is the way it comes. Inside this wooden case, this handmade, custom wooden case, is the blade. Well, that's how it's kept and how it's stored. I get separately this, which is the kashire, because I don't buy just the blades. Collectors do buy do buy just the blades, and they put them in the vaults. That's what collectors kind of do, and they put something I call a body bag on it, with a little tag on it that explains the sword and the date and so on. Because collectors don't do the books like I do. Usually, no, I found that nobody does the extent that I do on the books, but that's because I'm dealing with a different audience. So no knock on them. So there's a little bamboo plug here on the handle. You knock that plug out, you separate it, and the blade, the steel blade is in there. And inside the crochet is a wooden blade. You need a wooden blade, otherwise it'll fall apart. This kind of keeps it together. And put the plug in. So when I get this, I take the blade. Again, imagine that that the steel blade is in here. I take it out. Then I take this, which normally has the wooden blade in. I take that apart. I transfer the blade into this, and then the wooden handle back into the shirasaya. When you buy from me, you also get the shirasaya free. Well, you buy the shirasaya, you get the blade free. I see we're running out of time. One question is, you mentioned the 8 Samurai is your life's work. What is it? Again, go see the website on that. Go see the website on everything. And go see our back episodes. Keep sending me your comments. We want to make we want to make Sword Talk with Taum available to every single person on the planet, and keep coming back. We have fun here. Join in the conversation by sending me your comments and your questions. We now are a team, so we're here. We're going to try to get episodes out every 2 weeks. My editor putting a lot of pressure on me to do that. We're working on it, folks. And thank you for your interest in Samurai. Bye-bye.